Did you know that forensic scientists were able to arrest a killer by using a shoe print they found in a squashed tomato? I know it might sound ridiculous, but it's true. Hi, I'm Mindy and I'm a forensic scientist. For my career clusters, I took some quizzes on career cruising, and I got arts, AV, technology, and communication, and science, technology, engineering, and math. I, as a forensic scientist, will work with almost all of these. Now you might be wondering, what does a forensic scientist do? A forensic scientist's job is to examine and collect evidence found at a crime scene and explain it in court, whether it be fingerprints, blood spatter, or shoe prints found in a squashed tomato. They're responsible for keeping detailed records and reports on every piece of evidence. If one piece of evidence is lost or mishandled, then the entire case may fail. As a forensic scientist, I need to have communication skills. If I can't communicate with others, then there might be misunderstanding which can cause something to go wrong with the evidence. A typical forensic scientist week is usually about 40 hours, but they can be called in at any time of day or night and can be forced to work overtime. Before I chose to become a forensic scientist, I wanted to become either an artist or a fire investigator. I chose not to become a fire investigator because I don't like being out in the action. I like being behind the scenes. And instead of creating art, I chose to help solve crimes with science. A forensic scientist needs at least 6 years of college education and a master's degree in forensic sciences. The classes for forensic sciences require biology, chemistry, maths, physics, anatomy, and medical technology. It also requires that you have experience in a laboratory. And although it's not required, some scientists take classes in communication and law to help them talk in court. To get my degree, I went to Emporia State University, and I stayed there in dorms. And I chose there to stay in state instead of leaving state so I could use the extra money to pay for my dorms. For my budget, my estimates were quite a bit higher, some of them over $1,000 higher than what it really is, while my stepmother's were closer. My yearly salary was $35,400, and to get my monthly salary, I divided that by 12 and got $2,950. I used that number to determine how much I would be spending monthly. My largest was federal and state taxes, which was about 22%. My second largest was my housing, which was 20%. I am paying for my one-bedroom, one-bathroom apartment, which is in Topeka. My school loans and discretionary were both 18%. My utilities were 11%, and majority of it was paying for my 2 gigabyte phone plan. My third smallest was food, which is only 6%. It's quite small because I do not eat that much, and I'm only paying for myself. My second smallest was transportation and toiletries. For my transportation, I'll be taking the bus to and from work. My toiletries are also small because I do not wear makeup that much, or at all. And my smallest was medical insurance. My work department will pay for these since I am constantly at risk with dangerous substances. In my budget, I couldn't make ends meet, so I had to trace some stuff out. Some of them was taking money out to give to charity. I took out $50 to give to Red Cross. I also chose to stay in-state for college instead of going out-of-state, and I saved over $2,000. I also had to give up a pet so I could pay for my apartment, which I was really sad about. Now, a forensic scientist may sound like an interesting job, and it is, but there are some downsides. One being that there's a lot of pressure which can cause stress, and like most people, I, when under pressure, cause mistakes, and a tiny mistake in an investigation could be drastically bad. You're also exposed to bad substances and UV rays which can make you sick or worse. Some positives is like most jobs, pay increases, but it already has a good start out. And there is paid for medical insurance, which crosses out the exposure bit. And it can help you solve crimes quicker and put criminals behind bars faster before they do anything else. For my Make Your Mark, I drew some hands catching a solution. This symbolizes me telling the people who are affected by the crime that everything has been solved and the criminal has been caught. For my websites, I used American Academy of Forensic Sciences, Criminal Justice Degree School, which explained the schools, Bureau of Labor Statistics, which gave you how long and how much you would make a year, and Criminal Scene Investigator, which explained how and where you can get your degree. The last website I used was Moran, which gave me an article written by an actual forensic scientist explaining their typical and not so typical day. In conclusion, I hope this changes the way people think about crime and how crimes are solved. It's not exactly like NCIS or CSI, but it's pretty close. And you might be wondering how I got interested in being a forensic scientist. Well, that's because I watched a show called Forensic Files. Are there any questions?